All right, welcome back everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about the Osmo Action compared to the GoPro 7. Now I know we've been seeing a lot of info coming out on these cameras, but that's because these are two of the best action type cameras that you can get. And so of course it only makes sense to be comparing them head to head. Now, of course, this is the first sort of action camera that we've seen from DJI. While GoPro, of course, we know and love. We've had them around for many years now. And there's a lot of cool features on GoPro, but the Osmo sort of refines and adds a few more things that I think we need to see on the next version of the GoPro. Now, starting off with just the physical features, of course, the Osmo Action and the GoPro 7 are both very similar in size. They use similar cases to hold them. They're both waterproof. They both use the same type of mount, so very similar in that regard. But of course, on the Osmo Action, we get this front LCD screen, which will give us a clear view of what we're actually shooting. We've never had that before on the GoPro. I really think just before we've kind of been spoiled because we just assume with the wide field of view that we've had with the GoPro, we didn't really need to aim it all that well, which does work for the most part. But there are times where I've been trying to mount the camera and I can't see what the heck I'm pointing at. I have to try to hook it up to my phone in order to get it to work. And it's just more cumbersome. But with the Osmo Action, of course, we've got that screen right on the front, making it super easy to frame our shots. Or if we're doing selfies or just walking around in general, we can really make sure that we're filming and framing ourselves properly. Now, another spot where the Osmo Action has improved on the GoPro is with filters. So with the GoPro 7 and other GoPros, you've always had to stick a filter on top of the lens. On the last couple models from GoPro, you've also been able to remove the lens, but it hasn't been particularly easy. And I've never enjoyed doing it because I always feel like I'm going to break something. But with the new Osmo Action, the filter just unscrews right off the front. Now, I will say that right out of the box, the filter on my Osmo Action was on like super tight. I ended up needing to use some like rubber coated work gloves to really get a good grip and twist it off. I haven't seen too many people complain about that, but I have seen a couple people mention and say, hey, mine was on there super tight. Am I doing something wrong? They do unscrew just like normal. It might just be super tight. So I've never really been a big fan of adding layers and layers and layers of glass or filters in front of the camera because that degrades quality. Plus that brings up, if you get fingerprints or whatever else in between stuff, I just don't like it. So having filters that actually unscrew from the camera is a big step up from the normal press-on ones that we've seen before. Now, both cameras do offer electronic image stabilization. GoPro, of course, calls theirs Hypersmooth, and Osmo is calling theirs RockSteady. Both seem to be doing pretty well. I haven't done my own tests. It seems that some people prefer the GoPro smoothness versus the Osmo, but then of course there's plenty of people who think that the Osmo does better than the GoPro. So I'm going to kind of do my own test and see which one I end up liking better and which one just works better in general. Now, I have seen a few people complain that when they have RockSteady, which is the smoothing on the Osmo Action, that it ends up adding a lot of lag to where like people are jumping up in the air and they jump and land on the ground before the Osmo Action even registers that they're jumping. It's still doing everything properly, so I'm sure with the future updates we'll see that get smoothed out because there's no real lag that I've ever really noticed on the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Now, there's other cameras out there, of course, that you could look at when you're looking at action cameras. The only other major one that I can think of really is the Sony X3000. Now, I've had several of those. I never had good luck. It uses optical stabilization, and I don't know if it just gets bumped out of place or what, but I've never had good luck with it staying sharp. And so I've done tests before where the original test, I think, was stabilization or something, or slow motion, I don't know. But people were like, hey, what the heck is up with the Sony footage? And it was super out of focus. And I even sent the camera in and they repaired it, sent it back, and it was still the same thing when I compared it again to the GoPro. So I've never been a big fan of the Sony because of that. And on top of that, the footage that you get from it, it is very smooth, but sometimes you kind of get this weird like wavy effect to it. Of course, that depends on how you're using it and how you're holding it, but I've just never been a big fan, so that's why I've switched over to using GoPro. And then on top of that, with the new Hypersmooth that the 7 Black has, I didn't even need to keep my gimbal that I had for my 5 and my 6 GoPro because the footage was just still fantastic out of the 7 with Hypersmooth, and that I found I was never using my gimbal, so I got rid of it because the footage was pretty darn similar, and it added, of course, more complexity with batteries and a bigger thing and trying to balance and worry about motor noise and that kind of thing. And then, of course, there's always the question of what should you do? Should you wait? Because, of course, I'm assuming GoPro 8 is going to feature a screen on the front like the Osmo Action. So that could be, a waiting game, I guess, if you want to play that. I hate doing that though, because if you wait for the 8, then you should wait for the Osmo Action 2, and so on and so forth. So if you're looking for one of the best cameras, obviously you're looking at the 7 Black or the Osmo Action. Now, if you want to try to figure out which one you want, you're gonna have to watch this test and watch other people's as well, because right now I'm not sure which is best, because they both got some features that the other one doesn't have. The GoPro has GPS, so if you're doing a lot of motorcycle or bicycle riding, skateboard, whatever, and you're trying to do speed or car racing, you want to do track setups and you know, that kind of thing, you get really cool data out of the GoPro that really gives more depth to your video, because people can see how fast you're actually going. The Osmo Action does not have that, so if you're looking for stuff like that, of course the GoPro is going to be what you want. But of course, if you need that front screen, which does make a big difference, and like I said, it's weird, you didn't really think about it before with the GoPro. We just assumed like, hey, you know what, like the field of view is wide enough, I don't really need to see what I'm looking at or what the camera's seeing, because you just assume it's in the shot. But now with this front you know, screen, it makes a big difference, and now I'm kind of wondering why we've never demanded a front screen from GoPro before. Now, aftermarket support might be another reason that you want to go with GoPro, because GoPro has been around for a long time. There's plenty of accessories that you can get for it. Of course, the mounts and everything will carry over to work for the Osmo Action, but if you're looking for cases, batteries, you know, everything, basically, there's more stuff out there right now from GoPro, you know, for all of their series cameras. And the Osmo Action, we will see parts and products from DJI. Of course, because it is DJI, we're going to see plenty of aftermarket support, but it might take a little bit of time. But if you're waiting or you want genuine DJI parts, you might not want to get the Action just yet. There's been times before, like with the Osmo Pocket, where we were promised a waterproof case and we haven't seen that yet. So delays and that kind of thing are to be expected. I don't know what's going to happen with the Osmo Action and the parts and availability for it. But if you're trying to find DJI specific branded parts, could be waiting a while. Now, the last thing that we should point out here is external microphones. For the GoPro, I've never purchased the stupid adapter that you have to get to power a microphone to be able to use that, because there's no 3.5mm jack on either camera. So that's pretty lame that no one has come out with an aftermarket part that works for the 7, and the GoPro piece is like 50 bucks and it's kind of big and bulky, so I've never purchased it. And with the Osmo Action, it looks like we have to use a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter. I know we're waiting right now to kind of see who's going to come out with one that works, because I know a couple people have tried some and they haven't had success, but then I know there's a few that I've seen who have had working ones. So I'm not sure what's going on there with that. But bottom line, I think the Osmo Action is going to have a lot more availability and options for external microphones as opposed to the GoPro, since we have to rely on the GoPro specific adapter to be able to plug in to use that. But of course, if you're serious about sound, you're running a mic on your camera that you're using, you're micing yourself, or you just have music or engine sounds or whatever else that's going on, so you don't necessarily need to have the best sound out of your Action camera, because you're never really going to get perfect sound out of your Action camera because it's an Action camera. All right, so that's enough blabbing from me. Let's go ahead and test these two and kind of take a look at the footage and see what we come up with. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do so. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put those down below. And one more thing before we start this test, this is the official DJ Pro mount that I'm using. So pretty limited edition, very rare, but this is how I've got the cameras mounted up, so that way I can do the side-to-side comparison. And of course, any footage, I'll put down what settings I was using, as well as what audio I was using, whether it's in camera and if I have noise reduction on or off for the cameras. So now I'm recording on both cameras. You can see a slight lag when I'm looking at the camera here. So that's a little weird, but I can at least see where I am, which is better than the GoPro. And right now I'm running 4K 30, and I have wind reduction or noise, whatever, on both cameras enabled, and sort of just walking here. Go ahead and jog. And it really is nice having that front camera on the Osmo Action, because I know I'm in frame with the GoPro, but just being able to see myself is convenient. All right, let's turn this thing around. Apparently it does not want to switch on the action. Press and hold. There we go. Not sure. Oh, what the hell? So the GoPro is frozen. That's a great start. And the Osmo Action didn't want to switch from the front screen to the rear, and when it did, it restarted the video. So that's neat. Yeah, full on. Yeah, you can see, maybe you can see. See, the GoPro still thinks I'm facing the sun. And it shows that it's recording. Man, that lag is definitely apparent when you are using it like this. All right, and so the GoPro turned back on. I did not have to take the battery out. I just pressed and held on the power button, and eventually it turned off. And when it turned back on, it said repairing your file. And I did check it real quick, so it seems like I have like a minute of footage or so, but great job, GoPro. So the other thing, it seems on the Osmo Action, I can't turn the screen unless I like stop the video. So if I double tap on the back, which you can't see me doing, nothing. And if I press and hold the button here to switch it, I don't know if you can see that, it says switching to front screen and restarting recording. Okay, so I guess now I've figured out here, since this is really the first time I've used the Osmo Action, that when you are trying to switch from the front camera or the front screen to the rear screen, you have to stop recording. So that kind of sucks. Now it does seem like it does it pretty seamlessly, but still the fact that it pauses because of that, and I feel like it should be able to switch back and forth without any issue, but I don't know, I didn't make it, so yeah. So that's kind of cool for if you're doing vlogs, because you can walk around, but then if you want to turn it around and record something else, you're gonna have to stop the footage or just aim blindly, which we've been doing for years with GoPro. So I guess either way, it's fine. All right, so let's go and start running. All right, that's about as far as I'm gonna be able to run. Otherwise I'll have a heart attack on camera. There's like nobody here. And with my luck, whoever found me would just take the cameras and run off. So hopefully if that happens, they'll post this video. That way this wasn't all for nothing. All right, let's do something more exciting, like play in a playground. That's not gonna put me on a list, but you know, oh well. All right, so now I'm using my iPhone 7 to record this because I just noticed this while recording. Now I saw somebody on a Facebook group complain about moisture under the front LCD, and I just noticed something on my camera. A little bit of moisture. Now the spot was a lot bigger like 30 seconds or a minute ago, and I feel like you can see it shrinking there, but still I've got some moisture under the screen, and this camera has literally never been in water, at least in my possession. Of course this box was sealed, and you can see it's actually going away pretty quickly there. I'm gonna hopefully write this off as just you know, moisture during shipping and different temperatures and humidities, but yeah, so that's on there, and as you could see, it went away pretty quickly, so I guess I'll just kind of keep an eye on that, but at least now we know that that's a possibility, because another person posted up, and same thing, they had not you know, used it underwater or anything like that, and it's not humid where I am right now, but of course I also have had it basically in my house the whole, you know, 12 hours, so that's cool. Hopefully that doesn't continue to be a problem. Oh, you know what? That's actually another thing, but let me switch over to the other cameras. All right, so that's the other thing that I forgot to mention before when I was talking about the cameras is the waterproofing. Now, the GoPro is waterproof, the Osmo Action is waterproof, And we've seen before with GoPro where there are issues where people would go swimming with it and they weren't going supposedly deeper than they're supposed to. You know, there's a couple feet in the water and they still got water in the camera. And I've seen a lot of stuff pointing to GoPro where GoPro replaced the camera, no problem. I've also heard of people being denied that because of water damage. But overall, I've seen a lot of positive stories. So it'll be interesting to see how DJI handles the Osmo Action if water ends up in there, because it's going to happen. And I know before we haven't seen a lot of people have had some negative interactions with DJI when it comes to trying to get a warranty repair done, and especially water. This is going to be interesting to see what kind of comes of that. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. The park stuff has been abandoned by all the children, so I should be able to use it now without ending up on a list. Let's go. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh my God. The static is horrible. All right. Ooh, let's try going on the swings. Find a spot for this. Okay. Any of you know how to do a flip off of a swing? I can, but I don't know that I can do it one-handed while trying to hold these. Yeah, stuck the landing. All right, so I won't be able to give a real thoughtful review as far as how the footage looks because I haven't seen it yet. Although I'm guessing, based on the other YouTube stuff I've seen, it should look pretty good. So now, of course, it's just if I'm going to keep the GoPro or keep the Osmo Action, depending on, or maybe I'll just keep both. I'll probably get rid of the Osmo Pocket since, I don't know, I haven't really used it that much. It's hard to crack. Oh well. So I think before I get kicked out of the park, you know, run out of here by other parents, I'll call it a day here. And so yeah, so hopefully you like this. If you have any questions, of course, or comments, go and put those down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And oh, you know what? Let me show you real quick how bad the lag is on the screen. So yeah, so let's do that. All right, so RockSteady is on. So what's going on here, guys?